Welcome back, Ben. How are you? How have you been? It's been a while now, hasn't it, since the last
Yeah,
time you came
I
on?
yeah, it's been a while, but I've stayed up to date with a lot of the content you post. I've been watching some of the videos. I've been a bit critical. I do agree with certain things you're saying, but I've been a bit critical and yeah, I have a slightly different view, even though I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I just have a slightly different view in a certain sense.
So, what things are you critical of? And also, when you're answering that, it'd be good to because know what you wanted to speak about. Because I think when you contacted me, you said you wanted to speak about reforms. It'd be good to understand what your thoughts are about that as well. So, over to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So I'm just critical in a sense where it's like the reality is that a lot of the people that you talk about, they're not going to change for you. You might be quite optimistic and things like that, but just a lot of them are not going to change for you. So it's just like, a lot of these people need to be dealt with an iron fist. Yeah, they need to be dealt with an iron fist. And we need to stop tolerating a lot of these ideologies. And it's just as simple as that. I know you want them to reform. You're like, oh, please, I hope you can reform. Please. They're not going to change for you.
No, and I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying the step before the stick, basically. So what I'm trying to, and that's what I feel is there may come a point where people get so fed up where they feel like, okay, if the talking isn't working, then the stick approach is going to work. And what that's and because I can foresee that happening maybe in the future, that's why I'm saying while people are just still engaging with us verbally and still willing to dialogue, use this as an opportunity to understand the issues and do something about it. I appreciate the majority of Muslims are peaceful and good, but sadly, if people have if people have concerns, it needs to be raised and not dismissed. Because if you keep doing that, if you keep dismissing it, you can only dismiss people's concerns to a certain level, to a certain stage before people will do the stick approach, right? With the UK riots, we saw that. And for anyone with any common sense, that would be a sign. But some people are still just trying to play the victim card. But yeah, so
Yeah. Well, I see it like this. It's already gone too far. You've already had so many little girls being raped so many times. You've already had people being attacked. You know, for example, in Speaker's Corner, where that woman, there's been about two or three attempts on people's life in Speaker's Corner. Um, you know, People like Salman Rushdie and other people who's been, people tried to murder them. I think it's already gone too far, in my opinion,
why have people let it go get this far?
because they don't care. It's as simple as that. They don't care. So even when you're saying about the moderate ones, yes, there's some moderate ones that do care, but the majority of moderate ones do not care. Hence why they're not speaking out against it. They're not speaking out against the child marriage. They're not speaking out against the raping of these girls in at least 16 cities or towns all over the UK. They're not, as quick as they'll speak out against Palestine and Israel, they're not speaking out against the slave trade that is going on. They just don't care. That's the reality of it. And we keep allowing these things.
But when
So
you say
this is where,
they, who are the they you're talking about? Are you saying the whole of the England, or are you talking about people of a certain religion? Like who are they?
yeah, I'm speaking of people of a certain religion. I'm speaking of about the so-called moderate Muslims. There's some of them that do care because I've spoken to some, but the majority of the moderate ones don't care. It's just a fact. Nobody, I've not heard any significant group of them speak out against the slave trade. You don't hear too many speaking out against those girls getting raped all over the UK. They don't care. If it was happening to them, then they would care. But it's not happening to them, so they don't care. That's how human. That's how a lot
I
of females
care
are.
about them. I care about them, and that's
You
why I
do.
do what
You're
I'm
not the
doing.
majority. Yeah, you're the anomaly.
Well, what I'm hoping is to, and I think this is why it's a bit of a test as well, my channel, to test the waters to see how many do care about it, how many are going to play the victim card, and how many are going to see the light after playing the victim card, right? Because they're not used to criticism, they're not used to someone from the community talking about this kind of stuff. So there will be a resistance to change, but after they've gone through that phase, and I'm assuming it's a phase, I'm hoping they will see the light before someone uses the stick, which is what I don't want to happen in this country. Right,
Yeah.
cool. So, yes, what did you want to share with us today?
Yeah. So I wanted to go into the part of reform because that's what I'm all about, and I like this you know what you're saying. So for me, how I see reform is that this country should stay under secular law, right, where church and state is separate. Now, under the secular law, um, realistically, it doesn't matter what your religion is teaching, right? If you come up and publicly start talking nonsense like people like Ali Dawah, who's saying that slavery is okay, he was saying things in Speaker's Corner that he would allow his 9, 10, 11-year-old daughter to be married. They need to be investigated immediately and you lock them up. Simple as that. That's what under a secular state is. If we look at the Middle East and we look at Turkey, I believe Turkey was, right, not under that guy Erdogan or whatever his name, but Turkey was a good example. It's not perfect, but it was a good example where they had secular law. Any people pushing foolish ideologies, talking, nonsense and preaching hate, you know, they would get dealt with swiftly, right? If you want to deal with your religious affairs, you deal with that in the mosque and all of that. But any people preaching hate in those kind of places, preaching that it's okay to rape infidels and all this kind of trash talk, arrest them, investigate them, because they could be sympathetic to other Islamist ideologies. You know what I'm saying? And some of these stuff started off with these religious preachers talking this nonsense. Arrest them. Stop wasting time and worrying about, oh, they're gonna say you're racist or you're Islamophobe. Whatever. Just arrest them, right? Because it's the religion of Islam. It's not even a race. Why are they making it into a race? It's a religious ideology which is supposedly for all groups and all races. You have Arab Muslims, you have East Indian Muslims, you have European Muslims, um, Chinese Muslims. It's got nothing to do with a race.
So I've got a few thoughts which I would like, well, I've got a few points which I'd like to hear your thoughts on. The first one is for any kind of reform, there needs to be the will, right? Do you think there
Yeah,
is a will for reform? Secondly, I would like to understand from you what you think the barriers are to reform.
yeah.
Thirdly, what does reform even look like? Like, how would we know what does good look like? And then also, what are the stages? And then fifthly, is this realistic or not, basically? And I can repeat all of this, but we can take it step by step. So, do you think there is a will for reform?
For the most part, no. For the most part, no. Right? I
So
think
we
possibly to
failed on the first stage.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I spoke to an imam the other day outside of a mosque, and he said, "Look, Afghanistan is the blueprint. That is the great example for what we should be living under in the UK. There is no will for the majority
Is he
to reform.
crazy? Who did you speak to?
An imam outside of the mosque.
Well, any imam, any Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah, this was in Croydon. He's a black imam, a young imam. He's predominantly of West Indian and a bit of West African origin, but he said that Afghanistan was the great example for us to live. It would be great here in the UK. And just to let you know, because I know you're against the hadiths, he said if you don't agree with the Quran and Sunnah, which Sunnah is the hadith, he said if you don't agree with that, you're not a Muslim.
I don't care what he thinks. I think there's too many. The thing with a lot of these imams and people is they think they've got a patent on God and they think they've got a patent on religion. And I don't care what these people think. And the thing is, yeah, there's so many different sects, in Islam and Christianity and
Yeah.
other religions. Like, not everyone believes in exactly the same thing. Why do you think he's so radicalized?
He could have been converted by a certain type of sect. So I know that a lot of the blacks who get converted into Islam, they're normally converted by certain Pakistanis, um, or something linked with like an extremist group in Saudi Arabia. But a lot of them is normally converted by the Pakistanis. So it must be certain specific extreme groups which they're really deep on the hadiths. Well, Sunni Islam, that's what, Sunni Islam is from the Sunnah, Quran and the Sunnah.
The thing with the Pakistanis, they're quite good at grooming people and brainwashing people. And I think that's what some of these people can't take, that it didn't work on me. I was raised in that community and it didn't work on me, guys. I've been immune to your
Pakistan.
nonsense because I can tell that you're just talking shit. Again, I have to keep repeating myself because there'll be people falsely accusing me. I'm not against Muslims or Islam. I'm against the radical people who are trying to make other people's life hell. Like if you're living in the West, let people live. Live yourself and let people live. No one's got an issue if you're a Muslim or whatever. The issue is when you're causing issues for other people, okay? And you have an agenda and you've got a plan and just the whole thing's crazy. And I say this all the time to Muslims, even if the whole entire world became Muslim, it doesn't mean you're going to heaven. You're still going to be judged on your deeds. So why not focus on that? It makes no sense to me, like the crazy people. So fine, we've established there is no will, so we failed on stage one.
Yeah, yeah. For the most part, there is no will for the reform. For the most part.
Okay, and then so my second question was what are the barriers? Well, one of the first barriers is there needs to be the will.
Yeah. Well, I believe one of the main barriers in the reform is the hadiths. And I'm going to be honest, they're not going to give up the hadiths for you or for anyone else. They're not giving it up. People like to cherry pick, which hadiths is right, which one is wrong. The fact of the matter is, Sunni scholars can't even agree on the same hadiths. Many of the hadiths, like when you look at Bukhari and other people, these people are coming like 220, 250 years after Muhammad. And certain things in the hadith do not agree with the Quran. Some things agree. It's very shaky, if I'm being honest, and it's very violent.
So I mean, I'm thinking, is there even any point in discussing what it looks like, what good looks like, what are the stages? Because each
No,
time we talk about the will and the barriers, it just seems like we just failed.
no, you know what it is. No, I can
So
kind
you
of
wanted
somewhat.
to talk about reform, and you've come by saying there is no will, there is there is no possibility of reform. Why are you here then?
No, you know what it is. For the most part, there isn't. Not from their side, but I'm saying people can be put into submission to reform, right? So what does that mean? As I said, people like Ali Dawah preaching hate and preaching nonsense, they need to be arrested and investigated. A man who's saying that he would allow a 9-year-old child, 10, 11 years old, even his own daughter to be married by some grown man, right? People saying that they don't have any problem or issue with the 54-year-old man mounting a 9-year-old. They need to be investigated, right?
Why
You
are they
have
not
Ali
being
Dawah.
investigated? But this is the thing what's so frustrating for me, it seems like we've imported an issue and we are just not doing anything about it, right? Like what you just, why are we not putting these people in prison? Why are we not? Why are we not? Why are we not already doing it?
Fortunately, the white people of the UK, they have dug a hole very deep for themselves. And what do I mean by that? You see, because the UK has a great history of racism, right? Now it's like they feel guilty to kind of do anything because um, they'll be accused of being racist. Because generically, when you think of being a Muslim, Islam and all that, you're normally thinking of a brown to dark brown person, some type of Arab, some type of Pakistani, Bangladeshi. You wouldn't think it's not going to be too many white people in the UK that is Muslim or come from a Muslim country. You can class Albania, yes, that's classed as a Muslim country, but even them, a lot of them are mixed with the Turks, aren't they? So they're not even pure Europeans. So I think that's what it's about. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at now, I'm not saying that we should be like Poland, but you see, they took certain measures for these things not to happen. So again, I'm not saying we should be like Poland because they said they're not even letting even one of these people into their country, right?
Yeah,
So I don't agree.
but do you not think they've got that right though? Because you let one person in, that one person starts radicalizing people, and I don't know. But does Poland really not have any Muslims?
You could probably have some people who played takia and they got in somehow. Maybe they say they're from India or they say they're not Muslim or whatever. Just for everyone, like takia is basically an Islamic form of lying. Um, if you believe that your religion is under threat or if you're in danger.
But I
So
thought
some
that's
people,
Shia, and this is where the different sects come in, because I get told by non-Muslims about al-Taqiyya from Indians, mostly Hindus. I never even heard of that before. Yes, I was told in a life and death situation, if your life is under threat because you're a Muslim, you can lie that you're not a Muslim to save your life, and God won't have an issue with that. I wasn't told you can
and
just
your
lie and make
religion.
stuff up whenever. I mean, when I'm in Pakistan, Pakistani people quite do lie quite a lot, and they do give you a long list of all the reasons why you're allowed to lie. If you're saving someone's honor, if you're whatever, they do in Pakistan. I'm not going to lie, they do al taqiyya on a daily basis, day and night, 24/7. But it's nothing to do with Islam. It's they're just using that an excuse to be corrupt people, basically.
um, well, so my understanding is that yes, the Shias used the takia in the beginning or in some of the earlier stages, but a lot of these Sunnis also do play a lot of takia very regularly, and I've seen it many times in the park in Speaker's Corner. You have even like that guy Edroan, where they say that he played takia to get into power in Turkey, and then once he got into power, he started implementing all these kind of Islamic ways and rules, and a lot of the Turkish people don't necessarily like it. Even the ones who's practicing Muslims, like where they're pushing like Islamic doctrines and things like that in the universities. And I watched a documentary. Some of the people said they wish they never even came to the university. So yeah, a lot of the Sunnis in today they do practice taqiyya. And some of them they laugh, like I've spoken with a few. And when they try to tell me some lies and stuff, and I said, hey, you're playing tacky on me. And they start laughing because they know
But
that I
if
know
you're
what.
going, but the thing is, if you're going speaker's corner where the extremists are, I mean, I don't know any sane, normal, moderate Muslim who would go speaker's corner. Like, if you're going speaker's corner, you're one of the extremists, or like
A lot of them are.
which normal person goes to like the speaker's corner? I would never go there because I know there's crazy people there.
Mm. Yeah, so like, when you say which normal people go there, I would say not all of the Muslims there are strange, weird, or like, whatever. There is some that I met there that was normal. I had conversations with them. They were actually quite nice. A lot of those ones, they disagreed with Sharia. They didn't want Sharia. Um, the Christians that go there, they're normal. I've met some atheists there. I met some Sikhs. I met an Afghan Sikh in Seeker's Corner. He was pretty cool, but he just didn't want to be too vocal. But secretly, he said to me like, "Come on, man, look at this, look at." And I said, "Well, people have to speak out against injustices because a lot of the Afghan Sikhs they've been chased out of Afghanistan. Their gurdwaras have been bombed. All sorts of madness happened to them in Afghanistan.
Are these people who are doing Al Taqiyya and Speaker's Corner with the ideologies, the extreme version of Islam ideology, are these people born here? Are these immigrants who were not born here?
It's I don't necessarily know. It's hard to tell because if you look at, say, for example, Ali Dawah, it may be hard to tell if he's born here, if he's not. I think he was born in Turkey, but I think he must have come over here at a very young age. Probably a lot of them were born, in like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Morocco, Algeria, wherever it is, they were born there. Some came here when they were pretty young.
Cool, I see. So when you were talking about reform, what over to you, how do we reform?
Yeah, the reform is that as I said before, and if these people preaching hate and talking nonsense, investigate them and arrest them, especially if you're agreeing with child marriage, saying that it's okay. If you've got children now, social services need to come in because this is abuse of children. A 9-year-old is not an adult, never has been, never was, never will be. Um, People saying that, that it's okay to rape, because I think I saw a few comments on your channel and people was talking this nonsense there. Same thing, you arrest them. And also the other thing is that even in the prisons, there has to be the reform. So you take these people away and don't put them on the same wing as regular people because they're doing forced conversions. People who don't want to be a Muslim, they're making them be Muslim. The common saying is, what's it? If you don't convert, you get hurt, you know? Um, so yeah, deal with them severely. Because even in some of these countries, there's about, I can't remember if it's 52 or 57 countries which identify as Muslim. Even in a lot of these countries, they're not going to allow these people to do this nonsense. They beat them in the streets, man.
True.
So,
Like in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, my understanding is that they deal like very severely with
yeah,
extremism.
they lock them up.
That's what I don't understand. Like in Saudi Arabia, it seems, and I haven't seen many extremists that come from Saudi Arabia, to be fair. You know,
Yeah,
a lot of these extremists come from other countries, countries that were converted, some of them under the sword, like Pakistan
yeah.
and
Pakistan, yeah.
Bangladesh. Like those types of
Afghanistan,
people are more extreme than the Arabs. Like I don't
yeah.
understand.
I tell you why. So as I said previously, is that for me, Islam is an Arab religion. It is Arab supremacy. Now the thing is that a lot of these people they want to show that they are just as good as the Arabs or as equal with them than others. So even you have the black converts trying to do a lot to prove to even people who's not even Arab, but also trying to prove to Arabs that they are equal. And this is part of the problem. A lot of these Arabs don't respect these people. A lot of Arabs don't respect Pakistanis, Afghanis. They definitely don't respect blacks. They hate blacks the most. So yeah, that's what it's about. Because even people learn to recite in Arabic, whereas in the Bible you could learn it in French, English, Pashto. You could learn it in Urdu. You could learn it in like in a native or indigenous Senegalese or Gambian language. They might have a Yoruba Bible. So, the Bible is in all different languages, but within this, they always say, oh, you need to learn Arabic. You need to recite in Arabic. You need to do this. And I said, why would you recite something in a language that you don't even understand? To me, it doesn't make sense, but
I think what they believe is because it's the word of God verbatim, reciting the things in the original language it came has the power. So, for example, the Bible and the other scriptures don't claim to be the word of God verbatim. Had the Bible claimed to be the word of God verbatim, i.e., God said, this, and you need to repeat it, then Hebrew and Aramaic and the Greek and all, is it Greek? Yeah, the other languages that the God conveyed the message, they would have been probably repeated and recited as well. But because it is claimed that this is God's word verbatim, word for word, and it came in Arabic, people feel there's power in those words. That's why. So I understand why, um, people do read the Arabic, and I think it's important that they do actually. The problem is they don't know what they're saying. So they need to ideally learn the translation as well. But or learn Arabic properly. The problem is the people that even know Arabic. For example, I know someone who, so Shahib comes on the channel. He's from Saudi Arabia. He was raised in Saudi Arabia. He understands Arabic. He can read it. But even he said he did, but he doesn't understand the Quran because the Quran is like literature. It's Arabic literature. So even if you know
Well,
Arabic, you don't necessarily understand the Quran. I don't know. It's so
there you
confusing for
go.
me. It's really confusing for me. I don't
So
understand.
even exactly. So even he's an Arab Muslim but can't even understand it. So how is someone that is
So
from
he's a
Pakistan or
Pakistani.
from
He's a Pakistani, but yeah, he's raised in Saudi Arabia. But this is, I don't know.
okay.
But then that's why people rely on preachers, right? And scholars and but then they, I feel like they, because they've been indoctrinated and brainwashed so much, do they really have an incentive to give a more of a different view? Because they're so radicalized themselves, right? They are, so they're going to give a biased opinion of what's going on. I don't know. For me, I feel like I don't I don't care if someone I don't care what happens, very selfishly, I don't care what happens outside of this country because I cannot tackle the whole entire world, right? I live in the
Mm-mm.
West. I plan to live in the West. I love England. I'm living here. So, selfishly, I feel like I can't tackle the world. So let's just focus on the UK.
Yeah, yeah, on
You
here.
know,
Yeah.
but the problem is we keep importing the issue and we're not doing anything about it. For example, anyone who's deemed far right, even if they're not far right, if they're deemed far right, they're going to jail. But anyone
Mm.
on the other end where it's Islamic extremists, nothing's happening to these people. It's
Well,
nothing.
I just think yeah, I just think a lot of people are scared to even discuss these kind of topics, but it's like, well, it needs to be discussed. And the interesting thing is because like I got a friend who's Muslim, he's Turkish. He tells me that he doesn't even like most Muslims. And I said to him, well, how does that work? You're a Muslim and you can't even stand other Muslims. He's like, look, these a lot of them they're corrupt, they lie, they do this, they do that. And I said, well, maybe it seems like you're in the wrong religion, right? And it's interesting though, because when I spoke to the Imam and I said, like, there's a guy who's a Turk and he believes this, that, he told me straight up, he's like, listen, this guy is not even a Muslim. And he's Turkish. He said to me, he's Turkish. What do you expect? He's not even a real Muslim. Because like the guy, he agreed with me that he's cherry picking which parts of the hadith to agree with. And he's like, oh, well, you use common sense, you take this out, you take and I said to him, come on, man, you're not that's not Sunni
No, but
Islam, bro.
you know what the issue I have is when people keep using uh, attacking people for not being a Muslim as a tool to silence them because they just don't want to hear a different viewpoint. That's why I keep saying that no one has a patent on Islam, no one has a patent on being on God, even, right? And I feel if you believe that Prophet Muhammad was a prophet of God, you are a Muslim. If you believe in the one God, and if you believe it's the Shahada basically, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, there is only one God,
Yeah,
and Prophet Muhammad, he's basically a prophet, a messenger of God. If you believe in that, you are a Muslim. You
makes
can't say,
sense.
oh, someone doesn't believe in the hadiths, or they do believe in the hadiths, and that is a deciding factor. That's not a deciding factor. You know, the only
I think
deciding factor is whether you believe in the kalma, the shahada. If you believe in that, you are a Muslim. Whether you like that Muslim, whether you like that this is a proper Muslim, a good Muslim, or whatever, that's
yeah, they're
that's a
still a
side
Muslim.
note. So for any preacher saying this person's not a Muslim or is a Muslim because they believe in what I believe in, that's just nonsense. And I think Muslims really need to stop doing that because all they're doing is there are so many Muslims who message me on a daily basis who say they were pushed away from Islam by fellow Muslims. Some of them used to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
really religious, but because of the
yeah,
extremism of other Muslims, because of exactly this, that you're not a Muslim, you're not, if you do this, you're not Muslim. All of this, that they think they're righteous, they think they're pious, they think they're better than other people. Is putting people away. Trying
yeah,
to question things, is putting
definitely.
people away. So,
I, I think what I would say, if someone doesn't believe in the hadiths, then they're not a Sunni Muslim. If they don't agree with the hadiths, because Sunni is named after the Sunnah. So if someone doesn't accept the Sunnah, then they're not a Sunni Muslim. They might be Quran only or Shia or whatever it is, but they wouldn't be a Sunni. That's my opinion.
exactly, and there's different sects, right? So,
Yeah,
and people do believe in different things. So I don't know. I feel like we need to be humble. I don't think any of us have definitively the right answer, whether Islam is a religion from God or not, even if it is, which sect is the right one. I think
I
in
have the
the,
answer.
no, but what's your answer then?
My answer is that it's not from God. I don't even believe some of these characters even existed.
But they say that about all religions, though. All religions have this conspiracy theory that they've all been made up, and the fact is only God knows. So I definitely believe in God. The one thing my belief in God is not based on me being raised in a Muslim family. Like whether I'm a Muslim or not has no relevance to the fact that I believe in God. I will believe in God
Oh
whether I
yeah,
believe in Islam or not. So
yeah,
I've
yeah.
got no doubt about that. I just don't feel the creator of the whole entire universe will be so petty and will discriminate between humans that he created himself and put in families, Hindu families, Christian families, Muslim families. Like, I just don't believe like 80% of the people that are not Muslims that God created, all of them are going to go to hell because God put them in the wrong family. Like it just sounds crazy to me. It
It
sounds
is crazy,
it's
crazy.
because it just sounds something petty enough for humans to come up with, but the creator of the universe could never. So I feel like I want to be humble. I'm not saying I've got the right answers. I pray to God for the right answer. If there's a right answer, if you're okay with me, God, to believe in whatever religion, or like, do you care? Do you not care? I'm happy to listen, but I need a supernatural experience from God to direct me towards the right way. Go on.
So, Lubna, are you a Muslim?
I'm a humanist.
Yeah, let's leave that one then. Let's leave that one.
No, look, I'm researching. I'm not gonna, like I've said, I've got questions for sure. I was raised in a Muslim family, and what after researching about Islam, I definitely have questions that have not been answered yet by anyone. And the
Yeah,
problem
I
with
don't think they're going to be answered if I'm being honest. I don't think.
But you know what? That's the problem, and that's my red flag. The red flag is when they claim you can ask any question, we'll give you the answers. When you ask the questions and they can't answer, some people in other countries, they accuse other people of blasphemy. Try to silence you then. That for me is
Yeah,
the red flag. It's like, hold on, you said we can ask any question. When we ask the question, you're accusing us. It just seems a bit weird to me. Like, I don't know. It just seems as if it's their way or the highway in all situations and circumstances. There's no compromise, you know?
you see what it is. The reality is from what I've researched. So I'm going to make 2 points. The first one is from what I've researched. Yeah, it seems like a lot of the stories that we find compiled in the Quran came from other sources. A lot of them came from biblical sources. Other parts came from Persian sources, Egyptian sources. When I talk about Egyptian, I mean real black Egyptians. Some of them came from Syrian sources, like when you have the story of the seven sleepers, right? That came from those sources. So it's not these stories, they're not really original and authentic. They're copied. And then when you look at the copies, it's not telling you everything about the story. There's bits missing. So that's really what it was. Um, so yeah, it's that's the first point. The second point is even the argument of like there's only one Quran since 12 or 1400 years ago, whatever it is. That one there's a lot of holes in that narrative. There is different Qurans, and that's been proven. I think you have the 1924 and 1929 Cairo edition, where that Quran is different. They bring 26 Qurans to Speaker's Corner. They say different things, whether people want to agree with it or not. Shabir Ali said that there's no one exact Quran.
But
Um,
the problem is, if you are a critic of Islam, you can deliberately to prove to show people that that Islam is not true. You can make up your own Quran just to say, oh,
oh,
look,
no,
Muslims are saying there's only one Quran, but look, there's another Quran here, but that person could have just made it up. So people could publish fake Qurans to to say that Islam is wrong, but that doesn't mean Islam is wrong if they themselves have forged, stuff. So where it comes to where people say there are multiple Qurans, I just get a little bit skeptical
no,
because maybe
these
there
are
are people
Muslims
that are
saying it.
go on, huh?
These are Muslim scholars. These are Muslim preachers and scholars saying, like Shabir Ali. He's not an atheist or a Christian or a Hindu or whatever. there's a guy. Is it Yassi? I can't remember his
Yeah,
name.
Sir God, I don't know. So no, but they're not talking about there's different Qurans. They're talking about there's the letters are different in the basically the spelling of some of the words is different. That's not a different Quran in my eyes. That's just like the difference between American English and British English. It's the word is still the same word. The letters being different doesn't mean it's the a different word.
Oh no, they said there's different texts in the Quran. Shabir Ali did say that. He said
It's a
the
different text.
notion that many.
Because I've listened to him, and so we've got 2 minutes left because this is Zoom, it's going to time out. So my understanding, and I haven't looked into this, I'm still researching, guys. So before everyone starts shouting at me, while watching this video, is I'm not defending anything. I'm saying my understanding because I've listened to those two people as well. Because when I was doing my research, they're talking about letters. I don't see letters being different, as a valid
So
claim of
it's
there
not
are
word
different
for
Qurans.
word.
Because no, but the difference between the Bible is there are different books and the whole paragraphs are different, because people are choosing between which books to put in, the Bible and which books not to put in. That's completely, and chapters as well. Therefore you've got so many Bibles. But with the Quran, people are saying yes, there's different versions of the Quran. If it's difference in spelling, I don't see that as it being different.
And
If it's the
different
whole
words.
chapters are taken out and verses are taken in and out, yeah, then there are, but I'm not aware of that personally.
Well, in the hadith, it says that what is it? I think a goat or a sheep ate some scriptures and stuff like that. And Shabir Ali has said that they're not exact word for word and all that, because that's the claim. It's exact word for word, which it isn't. Because I've seen things in there myself, so
Yeah,
it's not.
and I'm not trying to defend Muslims because I get accused of that as well. But like I said, because I'm critical, I need to be fair to them as well. That anyone who's a critic of Islam could deliberately make up a Quran just to prove to people, oh, look, it's
Oh
fake.
no, these are Muslims that did it.
I will research
It's
into it. Don't worry. This is going to time out. Sorry, this is about to close. So thank you so much for coming, and
take
I
care.
will post this tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Thanks. Bye.